Hi, this is a quick video to provide my thoughts on my 2024 Chevy Equinox. This is a 2LT. I've owned and driven it now for 3 months. The number one question I'll answer is, what's it been like living without Apple CarPlay? And I'll talk about that in just a second, but a couple quick minutes on likes and dislikes. So likes, I like the way it looks. And this is a 2LT, it's a 2024 model. I feel like being just slightly above the base model, the exterior still looks good. You don't pay a penalty for the lower trim level. I think they've included all the nice sort of features that make it still look good. Build quality, I'm really impressed with that. This is my first General Motors product, and I think everything just feels solid. Panel gaps are good, the doors close with a nice thunk, and I'm happy with that. So next, I really like the way the car drives. It feels really solid. I think the steering weight is good. I feel like the performance is just fine in terms of its acceleration. It has really good throttle response, particularly when I compare it to an ICE vehicle with a turbo. I feel like I have to sit and wait a half a second before that one will go. This thing just goes when you tap the accelerator. So getting around town, getting on and off freeways, passing people, it's got plenty of power. And this is the slow one. This is the two-wheel drive. So take it from somebody who has driven the car. I'm not a speed demon, but I like the way it drives. I think it's got plenty of power. So now a couple quibbles. Back to the drive. When you do give it full throttle, you get a little warble in the steering wheel. So it feels like when you really step on the gas, you just feel this slight disconnect and warble in the steering, and it forces you to automatically back off. That may have been intentional because this is the two-wheel drive, but word of warning, you will notice that if you really punch it a lot. Second quibble on the exterior. If you got your key in the pocket and you stand too close to the tailgate, it does start beeping and it's going to open after 3 beeps. I just think it's way too sensitive. I'd like it to wait a second or two before it starts that process. So you kind of have to steer clear of the back of the car if you got the key fob in your pocket. The other quibble is I have had some phantom rear cross traffic alert issues where I'm backing out of the driveway and it thinks it sees something, it starts beeping, it slams on the brakes, and it actually puts the parking brake on. So to restart, I gotta put my foot on the brake, turn off the parking brake, and go. So that's annoying, just some kind of glitch with the rear cross traffic. Okay, on to the interior. So what do I like? I would say I generally like the way this interior looks and feels. Again, it feels fairly well put together. The materials are mostly quality. I think this plastic where the ambient lighting is seems a little cheap to me, and I don't know if I love the vent design, but the seats are good. It's got some kind of faux leather vinyl material. Everything just, yeah, again, for the price point, I'm really happy with it. It's very solid. Things I don't like about the interior. Number one, this kind of shiny plastic piece up on here on this fairly expansive dashboard, it produces a crazy glare on this windshield. When I'm in the sun, all of this vent material just shines up here, and even at night sometimes with street lights I can see that glare. So this, I can't believe this made it through GM testing. I don't know how many miles this car would have been driven, but nobody noticed that you got a massive glare on the windscreen. The only way around it is to always have your sunglasses, particularly polarized glasses. You will eliminate that glare, but it's annoying when you get in the car and you pull out in the sun and you just have this big glare on the windscreen. Second major quibble, no sunglass holder. I don't know why manufacturers are doing this, but it drives me berserk. You gotta have a place to put your sunglasses, and I'm sorry, but this just isn't cutting it. It's gonna get damaged down there, so I hate that there is no sunglass holder. Third quibble, the placement of these USB-C ports. While I like having the ports, if you plug a cable in here, it sticks out 1.5 inches, and this is a little USB-C thumb drive that I specifically found that's super thin, so the likelihood of it getting damaged is low. But if you plug a regular cable in here, a regular thumb drive, it sticks out in a place where it is going to get knocked, and you're going to break off the cable or the assembly inside. So that's just bad design. Couple of quibbles on the steering wheel controls. I've not had GM before. There's a volume control behind, up, down. To me, it's just not the greatest. I'd rather have front and forward and mute in the center. Here there's mute, but it's It's weird because it's the phone hang-up button is the mute. There's also a mute up here, but it's just a little odd. I'd rather have traditional up-down, mute in the center. There's also track selectors on the back of the wheel here, up-down, track or radio favorites. It's just not a great ergonomic design. It's blended with this regen paddle on top, so the three just kind of blend together. It's hard to put your fingers back there and just immediately go to where you need to tap. I don't like it. I'd prefer to have up down on the front. It just feels like they wasted space too much over here for just cruise control and adaptive cruise control. So I've had other cars. I think they've done a better job with the steering wheel controls. So after that batch of complaints, something I like, the driver display. It's customizable. I've got this one customized the way I like it with my music and the time and the temperature, but there's a bunch of other choices in here and you can add and subtract things, and yeah, it's really cool. I like the driver display. The infotainment system, it's generally pretty good as a standalone system, meaning the car comes with an 8-year data package. It comes with built-in apps like Waze and YouTube Music and Spotify and Google Maps, and the voice control to put in addresses through Google works pretty well. So all of that as a standalone infotainment system works well, and I like the nice big screen. So the final question, can you live without Apple CarPlay? So I knew going in when I purchased this car that it did not have the feature. I watched videos saying this is all so good that you're not going to miss it. I miss it. I've lived with it for 3 months. I really, really miss it. Now, I did have it in other cars, so I have had the experience of losing it. I think if you've never had screen mirroring and you got to this, you'd think, well, this is really pretty good, but you wouldn't know what you're missing. And here's why you'll miss it. Because we organize our lives on our smartphone. Everything is there. Our calendar appointments, the last podcast we paused, the last song we paused, the address we searched for, whatever it might be, it's on that phone. And when you get into the car and you have screen mirroring, that experience is now available to you right here. The last information you touched, the context you left off on your phone is now here, and that is completely gone. So if anything, I feel like this has created a barrier between me and my smartphone. If it was 2005 and this was a flip phone or an early smartphone, I'd think it was great. It would be Bluetooth for music and phone calls, and then I'd have some cool mapping feature and stuff built into the car, but it's not. I feel like it's created a barrier between me and my phone. In fact, I would say it's made me a more dangerous driver because I've found in the last 3 months that I am grabbing my smartphone while driving to look at the screen and to try to navigate to something because I simply can't get to it through the screen. That had not happened in the previous 6 years of driving cars. My phone got put in the cubby and I never touched it the entire time I was driving because everything just worked so well, so seamlessly. The voice control worked. It just worked. And this, it just doesn't. So if having smartphone integration is a big deal to you, I would say this is a great car on the whole. It's been a great EV first experience for me, but I really miss the CarPlay functionality. So if anybody from GM is watching, please bring this feature back. You have got to give this feature to your customers. It's really cruel and unusual punishment to force people to use this instead of what's built into their phone. That concludes my rant on the lack of Apple CarPlay. I hope this video has been valuable to you in some way. On the whole, I would say it's an excellent car with a few quibbles here and there. The lack of smartphone mirroring is more than a quibble for me personally. It would stop me from getting the car again, knowing what I know now, but that's something you'll have to decide for yourself. I hope that GM reverses course on this and they include Apple CarPlay with all their future cars. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Take care.